Hello, Tattoo Day. What's
How you doing,
happening,
mate?
man?
Thanks for having me, man.
Amazing.
Cool.
Thanks for finally making it.
Yeah, no, thanks for the invite. Aye.
Right, well, let's get down to business because you do so many things, man. So
Okay, yeah.
I had to do some basic research of like.
Right, cool.
So you're in a very successful tattoo studio, right?
Yeah.
Archangel.
Yep.
Then you've been a mixed martial artist.
Yes.
You're a comedian who's doing very well.
Yep.
You've been in a film, well, at
Yes.
least one documentary that I know of.
Yep.
And you've been killing it of the press and the marketing and everything. Like, I have so many questions.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, cool. No, I think you've covered everything. Actually, yeah, your research is good, mate.
I mean, there's also the family thing, but I feel like, you know,
Yeah.
family is personal business, so I don't go into that. But you literally, like, you're fucking killing it at life. I was kind of like...
Right. Oh well, thank you. Yeah. Joe, I think a lot of these things I've just had lucky breaks. Do you know what I mean? I've talked to the right person at the right time, or just something's kind of landed in my lap. Like loads of things land in my lap. Actually, it's weird. It's like the universe is trying to tell me something.
Yeah, but you're also making the most of it, though, because, like,
yeah.
So I was looking at it, I was just like, you're someone... Like, this is gonna sound maybe wanky, but you're a bit of inspiration, man, because you literally chose a very alternative route in life, as you would say. Like,
Yeah.
growing up, not many kids are like, yeah, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist and I'm gonna fucking nail that, and then I'm gonna go into martial arts and then I'm gonna do comedy.
Okay, yeah.
Those are all things that people are like, well, you know, be responsible and sensible, and you're fucking smashing it.
Thank you. No, cheers. I should point out I was terrible at Muay Thai and mixed martial arts. I was terrible. But yeah, it's like I think when I like growing up, it was probably just like an average childhood. Like I was the weird art kid at school. So my last 2 years of high school, I just hung out in the art department. I didn't go to any other classes. And part of that was just because I love doing art, but looking back on it now, it was like a lot of social anxiety that, you know, we didn't have the words for back then. I just knew I was more comfortable on my own, sitting in the art department, fucking drawing and painting and stuff, which ended up serving me really well when I started tattooing, like maybe 4 or 5 years later.
So did you always know that you want to do tattooing, or was that something that developed?
Yeah, so I got my first tattoo when I was it was for my 18th birthday, and straight away I was like, fucking, like, this is cool. Like these guys they're listening to rock music, they're drawing all day, although there's a lot more skill than just drawing.
Yeah, of course.
And they're making good money. So this is maybe for me. So I tried to get into tattooing when I was 18, 19. And it didn't happen, you know. You would go in and you'd ask tattoo artists, and they would tell you to fuck off. Right. So I went to university for 6 months. Decided that was too much like hard work, and I started working in a pub. And then I worked my way up. So I actually managed pubs, clubs, nightclubs in Glasgow for a couple of years, and I didn't get a chance to start tattooing until I was 24.
Right.
I just got a random phone call one day, and the guy was like, you were quite artistic at school, do you know anybody that wants to start a tattoo apprenticeship? And I was like, I'll fucking do it. And they went, no, you know, you've got a young family. I think Kendall had just been born.
Oh my god, yeah. So okay, so you started already doing this with the family on the side.
Oh yeah. So I was managing the pubs and clubs when Kendall was born, and then she was maybe about a year old. And I get this phone call, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And they went, no, it's like an unpaid apprenticeship, and it was up in Perth.
Right, okay.
And I was like, no, I'm doing it. I knew this was my calling. So the next day I just turned up at their shop in Perth, and they were like, the fuck are you doing here? I'm like, I'm here for the apprenticeship. And they went, right, go and scrub the toilet. I'm thinking I wouldn't do it, so I went and scrubbed the toilet. And they went, all right, go and clean all the equipment. I said, right, show me how to do it. So I did that. They went, right, if you come back tomorrow, you've got to tattoo yourself. Thinking I wouldn't. So the next day I was there sitting on the doorstep waiting on them coming in, and they're like, what are you doing here? I'm going to tattoo myself. So I tattooed myself, and that was, I kind of get my foot in the door that way. So that was...
I have to pull you up on that though, because you said, I had lucky breaks, man, but that sounds like you fucking showed up.
Yeah, but it was, well, I did, but so No, you're right, I did. So there's a lot of hard work. I've worked hard at a lot of things.
Let's acknowledge luck. You know, it's a thing,
yeah,
but you've been fucking.
But you know, like people work hard fucking around the world, and they just don't get a break. I'm very fortunate. I've had the breaks. I've had the luck as well.
Yeah, and also like there's like working hard is also like putting yourself in the right circles as well. There's different skills.
Yeah. You can, if you put the positive energy out, you're going to get it back. I agree 100%. So I did my apprenticeship up there, and it was a shit apprenticeship, but I didn't learn too much. I really learned allegedly. I learned what not to do. So that was like 2001, and then 2005 I opened my own studio in Glasgow, and that was really lucky because that was just when tattooing was taking off and it was getting popular. You know, like Beckham, Robbie Williams, fucking Pink, like every celebrity was getting tattooed, and tattooing went through the roof. And I couldn't have timed that any better. So it was the 14th of April 2005 I opened my studio, and it just went through the roof, and it's been brilliant ever since. And yeah, it's good. I've worked with a lot of good people in that time as well. So I generally thanks for saying, but I think I've been lucky as well.
No, you know what? Now I've learned that, like, sometimes, as you said, like sometimes you put in all the work and you get hit by a rock on the way out, and that's it. That's the end of that. But most of the time, if you know, with a little bit of luck and a lot of hard work, like the work beats luck. It's most often.
100%. Yeah.
Not always, but most often.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Aye.
Okay. And then what I liked is, I mean, that kind of just leads into it, but you've done something very unique with the tattoo studio. The way you market it kind of stood out to me, because you told me about this, like in the beginning you were like trying to be like a traditional tattoo studio, this is the work we've done, but then you're like, fuck it, here's some jokes, and then other things started happening as well.
So just one of the best way to explain this. So being a tattoo artist, it's one of those professions, and you know, like my wife's got a bakery. I know people that have other jobs as well, hairdressers, nail technicians, fucking people that run bars and restaurants. You get a lot of inquiries on social media, but they're dumb as fuck. Not all of them, not all of them, but occasionally you'll get just like one message, and it's like, how much is a tattoo? It's like, I don't know. Like, you need to tell me like where it's going, what size it is, what style, blah 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 blah.
So you don't want to alienate your audience, but let's say I work hospitality. There's a couple of dum-dums just full on.
Like the majority of people you deal with are fucking brilliant, and it's amazing, and obviously they pay your bills and stuff. But once in a while, just somebody comes along, and I think because tattoo studios well, maybe still sneeze a wee bit kind of rock and roll, a wee bit, you know, kind of on the edge. But I can be cheeky as fuck to people, and they just expect it. So I started like some of these extreme messages, and it's always when people inquire about something, like they always get the benefit of the doubt. So, well, maybe it's the first tattoo, they don't know what information I need.
So you don't know. You don't go fucking scorched earth from the beginning.
So I'll kind of go, okay, well, sorry, this is the information I need. If you can give me that information, I can give you a price. I can tell you how long the tattoo it will be, or I can put you in touch with one of our other artists, because it maybe suits their style better. And then if the questions keep coming, and they're just asking the same thing again, or they get an attitude,
they double down.
And I'm like, fuck you. So what I've been doing, and initially started doing this, is it was almost like a guide on how to book in for a tattoo or how not to book in for a tattoo. So I basically screenshotted conversations that I had with people, and I always take their name out, because I don't want people deriding them. You know, I'm probably doing that enough. But I just posted it as, you know, if you inquire about a tattoo, this is what not to do. This is the information we want. And they started getting a lot of traction. So we call them the Archangel 1608 Tattoo Studio screenshot posts. So the best tattoos I've ever done, right? And these are like tattoos that I've poured my heart and soul into. The most interactions they'll get on social media, which is likes, comments, shares, saves. You know, the best tattoos I've ever done, if I'm lucky, they'll maybe get like 2 two and a half thousand interactions. Some of these screenshot posts get like 3.5 million interactions. So I'm going, well, my best marketing is not me doing good tattoos, it's me being a dick to people. So we've the screenshot posts we don't do them all the time, and as I say, it's just for people that are fucking wankers.
Yeah.
Not people that don't know about tattoos, but people that are consistently rude and obnoxious.
But I think it's because it reaches a bigger market, doesn't it?
100%.
It's like a beautiful tattoo we all see,
Yeah,
and it's nice, but it's for tattoo people.
No, exactly, yeah. So I mean, we've probably had 6 or 7 screenshot posts, and I hate to use the term going viral because that's what your granny's neighbour says when she's fucking seen you on the telly. But we've had 6 or 7 posts going viral, and you know they're getting like millions of interactions. And the press, you mentioned earlier, like we've been in everything. We've been in all the British newspapers, Lad Bible, The Poke, Bored Panda, fucking Cheeseburger, George Takei, Aussie Man Reviews. Like, it's just been around the world.
Just Scottish tattoo shop.
Yes,
takes
aye.
no shit.
Yeah, aye. And it's cool. I'll take it because ultimately it's marketing.
Yeah,
and
of course.
I would much rather people. I was getting those numbers for the tattoos we're doing, but these posts bring people to the page, and then I mean we are getting a lot of bookings.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that because as I was doing my sort of basic research, I was like, it's a very unique thing where a lot of marketing people do this now of like, whatever the product there is, they try to place it near and adjacent to something that might get a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So it might not be the product itself that they're marketing. It's
Sure.
like Coca-Cola is always doing it with Christmas, or like
course.
they're selling you joy. Joy Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
So you're funny banter, my tattoos.
Yep. Aye. So it's. I mean, it just ties in. I didn't expect it would happen like that. As I say, it was very much like trying to almost show like a guide on how to do it, but it just grew arms and legs. So yeah.
And then once you decided to tick off, I was like, okay, here's a couple more of these. I'm having fun.
Yeah, and now it sounds terrible to say it, but when we get somebody that is consistently obnoxious, I'm not thinking, oh fuck, I'm thinking marketing, brilliant. Which is fine that people expect that from us now.
Yeah.
As well as good tattoos and a fair price, it's cool.
You could be like, was it Kate's Diner? Is that what it is?
Oh, like, fucking hell, yeah.
You could be the Kate's Tattoo, Dave's Tattoos, just...
I think like we always try and make people as comfortable as we can when they come into the studio, because a lot of people, it's kind of hard getting a tattoo. So yeah, we maybe won't go down that thing. We'll just do it online. And then when they come in, they realise we're pussycats, which is good.
I mean, if anything happens, you can always like, do you have anything from the grip house left still? Anything that you can point of like?
Oh shit, yeah, I've got some of my fight pictures from when I was doing the Muay Thai and the MMA.
Stick him up at the front,
Yeah, but people are like, who's that guy? He looks like you, but a lot skinnier. Yeah, I wasn't a happy person.
Oh, fair enough, man. So, how serious were you about the fight? Like, were you all in?
Oh yeah, like and to the detriment of family life for sometimes. So I started doing the Muay Thai at the Grip House the end of 2011 through the tattoo studio. There was guys that come into to be tattooed that trained at the Grip House, and they were like, "Oh, you should come up and train." And I was like, "I don't think so. Like, anytime I see you guys in here, I'm causing you a certain level of pain. As if I come to your playground, I can see that's going to get flipped." But I went to a couple of shows and I was like, "Oh, this looks quite tasty." So I went up and started training, and it was always in the back of my head I would like to compete. So I think after a couple of years of kind of solid training, I got a fight, and it's because at the time the Grip House was the most successful fighting gym in Britain. Right, they had a bunch of fighters in the UFC. They had loads of like Muay Thai European and world champions fighting there as well. Like that was the level. So we trained the way the pros trained as well. Even though we were just amateur fighters, just doing it as a hobby. But we went all in, or I went all in, which I do about everything, as you maybe realise. So yeah, like for the 6-week fight camp, I would train early in the morning. I would train at 6 in the morning. I would come home, get fed, get the kids off to school, go to work, go to the gym, train for 2 or 3 hours, come back, eat, and go to my bed.
So 2 workouts a day.
Yeah.
I mean, so hang on, gym workout and then.
It was kind of mixed. It was a mixture depending on the day, and that wasn't obviously conducive to a good family life. So to give Shan credit, like she stood by me, and she was very, very supportive. Like she came to every one of my fights. But it was tough more in Shan the girls because I wasn't there, and when I was grumpy because I'm cutting weight and fucking I'm just in a bad mood and I'm sore and I'm tired all the time. So I was all in, but I had 7 Thai fights, lost 1, and 2 MMA fights, didn't lose as well. So I've only lost out of 9.
So you're 9-1.
8-1.
8. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So I was never going to be fighting for title shots because I didn't start until I was in my 30s.
Yeah, okay,
so I was never going to win a belt. I was never going in, but I wanted to do the best I could. I fucking loved it. Like the training was good. Like the strain on the family aside, was fucking dynamite, man. Just training and pushing yourself.
Yeah, I mean. If we talked about this, because I've had, obviously Graham was an ultramarathon runner, I've had this stunt runner guy as well, so there's something fun about just pain. Not pain, but just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a very liberating thing. The first time you get punched in the face and you realise you're not going to die, it's a very liberating experience, and it's fucking good. So, you're at the grip house when I was training for fight, I would be sparring with like UFC fighters. And like elite athletes, I got my fucking ass handed to me, but it was good and it was enjoyable because week after week you're just getting a wee bit sharper, and you're maybe taking less second prizes.
So how does it feel like? When you go up with a UFC fighter, do you feel like the massive difference in skill?
Of course it is.
I mean, I figured you would, mate. We all have that little thing about, I guess on a right day, I've got this move, I swear I could.
But so that I'm a firm believer on any given day, any one fighter can beat another fighter. But I would have taken somebody at that level to be on their absolute worst day, and I would need to be on my best just to give them a tickle. But so when you spar with people, that was the great thing about the grip house. And I know it's not the same in some other gyms, but in the grip house, if you're sparring with somebody that's maybe got less experience than you will tone it back.
Right, okay.
Because they're not going to get in and out fucking steamrolling me and just kicking the shit out of me.
Yeah, because then
they'll have a wee play about and they'll maybe try different things. But I'm just fucking I'm
trying to stay alive.
So it was good, and it's a liberating thing to get punched.
Yeah,
everybody should try it.
And there's a couple of people I will nominate.
Oh mate, yeah, I better believe it. But it's great. Like, I really wish I'd started training a lot earlier, because it's good not just for your physical health but for your mental health as well. It's just if you're having a shit day, you can go up and you can fucking fuck out a bag, and then go and you feel a wee bit calmer, and then you can go and train, then you can spar. So yeah, I kind of wish I'd started that a lot sooner than I did, but I'm glad I've done it because it's still the amount of people that have actually been in a proper organised fight, minimal, and it's like a brotherhood as well. Like once you've fought with somebody, you've tried to batter fuck out them, and they've tried to batter fuck out you. Like you kind of become pals more often.
Yeah,
than not.
It's almost like you also acknowledge the things you don't control. So if they're not being cunts, because obviously sometimes there's fighters that are we know them for being cheeky buggers, but it's almost like you acknowledge of what, everything that's been going on, you fucking tried your best, I tried my best, this is where we ended up. Fucking well done. It's.
But particularly with the Muay Thai, it's kind of based on mutual respect at the end, because you went toe to toe with somebody, and it doesn't really matter who wins. It's you've both done your best, and don't get me wrong. Sometimes if a guy's beating you, you want to fight him again, but and there is a wee bit of needle sometimes as well. Just some people don't have the personality.
Of course,
to let it go at the end of the fight, but that's just a personality thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we all have egos, and then some people manage it worse than others.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, okay. And so how many years did you do the?
So I trained the Gip House from 2001 to,
2001?
Yeah, sorry, 2011, so just under 10 years.
Oh wow, okay. You're still doing it, or?
I still go up when I can, but obviously I'm doing the comedy thing now. So
now you're doing it more for like...
Yeah, because generally I can't go and train at 6 o'clock in the morning like I used to if I'm out doing comedy until like midnight. You know, I can't come in and go to sleep and do all that. So unfortunately, I've kind of had to put the martial arts training to the side. I still got another gym just to do like strength and conditioning stuff. But that's again had to rejuggle my life to accommodate that, because as you know, being out comedy, if you're out doing comedy 4 or 5 nights a week, you're not making an early class in the morning.
Yeah, not like the best you can. Like midnight is like, we nailed this one.
Yeah,
like everybody got home on time. You were, like nobody went overtime massively.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like oof.
Yeah.
Okay, and then. I mean, you already showed like this is the classic of like, I'm doing something else, but I'm being cheeky or funny on this side, and it's something you go, maybe I can do the cheeky funny most of the time. Is that how that came about?
So it's a bit of a story, but since you've asked, it's fucking why we're here. So I had a like comedy's always been in the back of my head, like always. Not because I think I'm particularly funny, I just want the attention. Like, that's why I like doing the fighting as well, because it's me. Everybody has to look at me.
But was it the attention, or was it like the activity itself?
Partially. I mean, it was activity, and but I would like to be up there and fucking just have all eyes on me. But that was a small part of it. But that was one of the attractions of fighting, as well as getting physically fit and testing yourself. So yeah, comedy was always in the back of my head, but there was always an excuse not to do it. So when I was fighting, I was like, well, I can't fucking do anything else apart from fight. And then when I stopped fighting, I was, work's really busy, or there's the fucking the COVID happened as well.
Yeah, of course.
So
I mean, yeah, that affected you in all sorts of ways.
Oh wow, yeah.
Studio.
Yeah. I mean, like the first lockdown was tough, and because we're a small business, we didn't get a lot of help at all. So like all the savings went down, the fucking credit cards went up. But we kind of pulled it back, because actually after COVID, like, we've never been as busy. It was great because so many people had been sitting about their houses not spending money.
And there was also a boom, like psychologically, of people going, you got one life, fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of people got pushed over the edge of like, I'm getting a tattoo.
Yep, yeah. So comedy. So one of the screenshot posts, one of the many that went viral, it got a lot of traction. This was in September 2001, and again it was
2021.
Fucking hell, man!
Now I'm just double checking.
Please keep me right. 2021.
I'm only asking if it was September 2001. I'm like, why? What kind of tattoos are you making?
Fucking hell, I know.
It's like, can I get a plane?
2021, September, and we got a phone call to the studio the day after we'd had all the press exposure, and this is another thing that went around the world, and it was a London number. So I was like, nothing ever good comes from London, we'll let that go to the answering machine. So I checked the answering machine at the end of the day, and it was a guy who's a TV producer. He'd seen this article numerous times on social media during the day. He says, I thought it was very funny. I'm actually putting together a new TV show. I think you'd be good for it because your humour coming across, and that's the humour we'd like. So I was like fucking, who is this? So I phoned him back, and he was basically doing it was a new news show, so it was going to be a cross between If I Got News For You and Mock the Week.
Right, okay.
But with just the general public.
Right, okay. So like, they're kind of looking at social media news instead of like...
Yeah, kind of.
I mean, kind of everyone's doing that now.
But he wanted the same members of the public each week, kind of reviewing different stories.
Right, okay.
So I kind of spoke to him about it with a couple of Zoom calls, and then he got back to me and he said, actually, we've changed the format. We want to do it in couples. Would your wife be interested in doing this? And I was like, no, not at all. Like, she's not into kind of doing anything like that. It's alright, it's just, we would like you to maybe like argue with somebody. And I was like, I argue with my eldest daughter all the time. And he was like, what age is she? Kendall would have been like 18, 19, 20 at the time. So he was like, that's perfect. So Kendall and I, we did a couple of Zooms with him as well. He gave us news stories and we basically had to like give our opinions on them, and sometimes they clashed. So we filmed a pilot for this guy.
And for the record, Kendall's also doing stand-up comedy now.
Yeah,
so.
Kendall, I will...
or as we've
come to that.
have we got to know her, the eldest spawn? Is that her nickname?
The first spawn.
The first spawn,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So we filmed a pilot and it didn't go anywhere. But this guy, he phones back, he says, I'm really sorry, you know, it's kind of one of those things that might get put aside. He says, I used to work in this other TV show. Now, I'm legally not allowed to tell you what the TV show was, but I'll explain it to you, you'll probably pick it up.
I won't say the name.
So he was one of the first producers for this, and he said, you and your daughter would be perfect for this, because it involves families
watching
sitting around.
telly.
Maybe. Right?
Yeah, maybe.
Fuck it,
potentially,
right?
right?
You know what one is. So he said, can I put you in contact with them? I was like, yeah, it's cool. It's
chatting away.
Awesome. Yeah.
In a square.
Yeah. We can enter the process for that TV show.
Right, okay.
And my youngest Cassie, she came on board as well. Shan didn't want to do it, so it was me and my daughters just sitting about chatting and watching something. And we get through to you get through all the different audition rounds. And at each audition round, they kind of give you more information. Like, if you get it through to being in television, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, you're not allowed to decorate your house without permission. You can't get your hair cut, you can't dye your hair, you can't get any visible tattoos. And yeah, just for continuity. You know?
Yeah, no, of course, that makes sense, but it's also like,
it was really restrictive. And then the further we get into it and the closer we got, they were saying, like, you can't use your status or your fame to make money by doing public appearances or opening supermarkets. You can't put on a show or a pantomime or do stand-up comedy. And I was like, oh, well, that's another reason not to do stand-up comedy, right? So we get so far that we actually get down to the final two.
Oh, wow.
The choice of two, to the point where in February 2022 we had 2 transit vans in our driveway with all the film equipment.
Oh my God.
So we did a full day of filming, and the footage they did on that day, if we'd been picked to be on telly, the footage we filmed would have been on the telly the following week. So I was going to say unfortunately, but actually fortunately it didn't happen. They picked the other people, and I was actually more gutted, because you get to know the crew, because the crew had been out to our house maybe 2 or 3 times to do the different filming and stuff, and I was more disappointed about not getting to spend time with them, because they were all brilliant, than actually being on telly. So we found out we didn't get it over a Zoom call. So I'd already said in my head, if we don't get this, I'm going to try doing stand-up comedy, because they've said I can't do it. So we had the Zoom call and they said, listen, it's not you guys, blah blah blah, and we went, right, okay, that's fine.
I mean, yeah, they have to have, like, I don't know how they pick the couples, but it's not an easy thing to do.
No,
like,
not at all, not at all.
Like, speaking as an actor who's like regularly, like, you go for an audition, get fuck all, you're like, wow, just one of those things.
So it was actually a kick in the teeth, because we thought we did really well, and I mean the producers we spoke to at the end, when they said, you know, God, they were lovely, you know, and they were like, you couldn't have done anything. It wasn't you did anything wrong. It was just, we think these other people are better. So I basically finished, like, closed the Zoom call on my iPad, and I went straight onto the Stand website and applied for Red Draw, like that minute. So that was February 2022, and then 3rd of May 2022 I did my first 5 minutes at the Stand. First time I did stand-up comedy.
And is that after that so this was just after lockdown? Because after that they kind of blocked it well, not just after, but like after that it was only June, and you could only apply in June and November.
Yeah, so I think application, I don't know, No, it was because lockdown finished 2021.
Yeah.
Oh no. I don't know. But it's certainly that was when I applied, and they gave me the May slot.
Right. Okay.
So and I was like, oh fuck, this is happening. Shit.
And you did the thing of like we had like briefly talked about this of like most comedians' advice is don't do the stand at your first gig.
Yeah, well,
you went.
Yep. So I had absolutely no idea about the open mics, or you know, like definitely don't go and do a fucking professional comedy club for your first time doing stand up. I didn't know that. So I went and did the stand, and there was a guy backstage, actually, Cameron Cribbs, who's done. I've seen him at Salsa a couple of times since then, but he was lovely. He was like, "Oh, this was your first time. Don't worry about it." He says there's open mic nights, so he gave me all the Facebook pages, like the Scottish Comedy Open Forum, all the pages, and he says, you know, there's nights at Salsa and, you know, Peckham's and stuff. So he was lovely. So I did my first 5, didn't die on Mars.
I mean, that's the most you can hope for, realistically.
But didn't do great. And then like started going to like Salsa and the open mic at Peckham's as well, which obviously when I met you and I met all the other guys as well. And it's
Tenants and every like there's so many gigs.
So it was it was taking that negative, negative reaction we had and turning it into a positive. And the thing is that if we get that TV show, well, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I wouldn't be doing stand-up comedy. I might be on TV, but
you would not be allowed to make any public appearances.
Can't fucking dye my hair. And it worked out well for Kendall as well, because at the time she was working on Batgirl, which they were filming in Glasgow, and she was assistant to the directors. And if we were filming that TV show, it had to be a Saturday afternoon because Cass was at school, so they could only film with us on a Saturday afternoon. So filming Batgirl, Kendall started hanging out with the directors and the cast as well, and they would play 5-a-side football on a Saturday afternoon. So she get invited. By the way, she can't play football for shit, right? But she get invited to play football with them.
Oh, they don't have to know that.
Yeah. So it was really good networking for her, and from that, she like her career now, and felt like she's fucking through the roof, and it's because of the connections she made on Batgirl. Like she's worked in Black Mirror, fucking Gladiators, Emmerdale. She's done really, really well. I'm really proud of her. I don't tell her enough. Love you. But I
love how she has to. If you want to find out how your dad feels about you, watch this episode.
Exactly. Yeah. I do tell her. Probably not often enough, but you know. So actually, not getting that TV show was the best thing for all of us, because you know I'm doing comedy now and I'm fucking loving it. And like her career's going through the roof as well, and obviously she's doing stand up as well. So it's wild, and it's, you know.
It's the classic of like sometimes a thing you think you want, turns out to be actually just something that, you know, you just throw it in the back.
Oh yeah, it's just that kind of stepping stone, if you like, and you know it was maybe going the wrong direction, but I'm pretty sure see about 4 or 5 years time, like we'll be on the fucking celebrity version instead, 100%.
Alan's celebrity couch.
But it's cool. So yeah, like doing stand up's been a revelation. And I always say with the fighting, I wish I'd started that sooner.
Yeah. Do you wish you started stand up earlier?
Do you know what? Yes and no, but I don't think I would have had the humility when I was younger to take criticism or to actually go, but actually that set wasn't great. What can I change about it? Rather than do what a lot of guys do and go, it's fucking wasn't my crowd. And you know, like a lot of people, not a lot of people, some comedians have an excuse. You go, that wasn't my crowd, or you know, I had an off night, or that wasn't the right material. It's like, unless your name's on the fucking poster, you know, or on the front of the building, you have to make it your crowd. And like, you know yourself, like sometimes you will just get a shite gig and there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah, like I'm in that boat of learning now. Of like, like sometimes I believe in this material. I fucking love this material, but did I do enough to get the crowd on my side?
Yep.
Or sometimes it's like, maybe it's like maybe tonight was not the night for me to talk about this specific topic. Maybe
Sure.
tonight they
Yeah,
didn't need to hear about the war. Maybe tonight you should have talked about the taxi driver, Silas.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, so it's like figuring out of like, what am I talking about? Why am I talking about? Like, there's a lot of elements to it. And I'm still learning it, so you know.
Mate, that's it. I think the thing is, like, how long have you been doing this for?
Seriously, I'm coming up to 2 years in end of February.
Oh, really? Fucking hell, I thought you'd be going longer.
No, so I've done a couple of gigs back in the day.
Okay, cool.
But that was 8 gigs, and they were class. I wore a crocodile onesie. So...
Bring it back.
God.
Oh, brilliant.
I mean, for my first gig, I didn't wear the onesie after that.
Right.
Just for my very first gig.
So where was your first gig?
It was a Yes Bar Comedy Virgins.
Oh, fucking hell, right, well.
I think it was Vespa Bar, then it became Yes Bar.
Right.
Graham Barry run it. It was on a Thursday. And I remember it was just after Easter, just around Easter, because the reason I got the onesie is my work had this idea that if you come in onesies and pajamas for Easter for the kids, I don't fucking know.
Right, okay.
So I got a crocodile one, and it was like up down to here, so it was a couple of numbers too small, and it had a wee tail and everything. And I was just like, it would be hilarious if I just for no reason I did stand up in a onesie.
Fucking hell, right, cool.
I mean, and I did.
Brilliant.
And I did 14 minutes on a 5-minute set for the first
Really?
time. I had no fucking sense of timing. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
But yeah, Graham was very understanding. Thank you, Graham. And then after I kind of wanted to focus on the acting because that was my sort of first love, and I still very much love it.
Yeah.
But now I've realised that I can do the thing I wanted to do in acting with the stand-up.
Amazing. Yeah, exactly.
And now I'm kind of like, well, let's make this work, babies.
I'm surprised you've only been doing it for that short a time, because I remember the first time I saw you was in Sosa when Nico was still running it.
Yeah.
And you came in late, but you had your fucking cool cap on, and you're just like, alright guys, just pure exuding confidence.
I mean, I think part of it is at the acting training.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, because I did, on those past years, I wasn't inactive. I was trying to pursue my craft in the acting stuff, and I was saving up and doing courses, and then finally managed to save up enough money and do like a 1-year full-time course.
Oh, yeah.
2017. So I was very much active in just,
cool, cool. But I remember, like, you walked in, you were fucking, like, you owned it, you weren't even on, and you owned the room, and like, you set up your tripod. I was like, this guy's the real deal. And then you were on stage and you're like, hey, I'm a Romanian. And I was like, oh, maybe not. But no, like, you fair enough. No, you did the bit about like try to save money on a date. You've got to take your bike or something. That's fucking amazing.
Yeah. The cycling to the date.
It was so well done.
Some of it works, some of it like I've got to that point now where I'm like looking back at bits now, so I've grown enough in like comedy that I can look back at bits now and I'm like, okay, that worked for me. I fucking love that bit, but it didn't always work for the crowd.
Yep.
So I'd have to figure out which crowds I tell it to, or I need to, like, what am I gonna do? Because I still believe in, like, you want to do it for yourself as well.
Oh, of course.
Right, like, I don't want to do jokes I don't think are funny.
Yep. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But yeah, you gotta. It's not just about you.
No. Well, it's really not. You're there to entertain, aren't you? And yeah, you're right. You want to entertain yourself, but first and foremost, you have to entertain that room. But yeah, like I've what you're saying about going back to like maybe older material or trying to rework it. I've done that as well the past 4 or 5 months, and there's actually some good stuff that when I first did it really wasn't good at all.
Yeah, it's now like having like this new set of eyes on it, and you kind of look back of like, you're trying to make too much of a point, and like, okay, maybe that can, you can sprinkle some funny there and just pick it apart and go in a different direction and things like that.
I found it quite liberating actually, just to go that bit that died on its arse and I only did it once. Actually, there's some.
Yeah, I think if you find it funny, then there's something to it.
Of course.
It's just like, will you be able to bridge that gap in the knowledge? Can I set it up so people that have no context of what's in my brain can also find it funny?
Yeah, aye. No, it's fascinating. I'm still, even though that hopefully when I'm still doing this in 10 years' time, I'm still going to be learning.
Yeah, I think
because it's just now, like I did a gig, I wouldn't say where, a couple of weeks ago, and fucking there were just people heckling all the time. It was a weekend gig.
Oh no.
So people had been out drinking, and they were maybe on a Christmas night, and they stepped, like they spoiled on 3 of my punchlines. And
so they were just yapping away as well.
Yeah, and they went, oh no. So I don't want to fucking burn my material, but I do a new bit about a story when I'm tattooing, and I'm kind of.
Oh yeah, I know what this is about.
Yeah. So no, it's not even that one. So it's so I start the story, and then this woman fucking like I'm a minute into a 4-minute story, and this woman went, oh, I bet it's this, and it was like I just fucking ruined it. So a year ago that would have thrown me, even 6 months ago that would have thrown me, but she fucking ruined the bit. But fortunately I had another bit that I'd written as an extension to that I'd never done before. So I went, oh fuck. So I did this new bit for the first time. It went really well, and then went back to my set, and then put on a callback to this new bit as well. It was awesome. But that would have scared the shit out of me to do that even 6 months ago, to change material like halfway through. And now I'm like, well, I know I can do it. And what you're saying about reading the room, like there's certain jokes, maybe that joke's not right for this crowd or stuff.
It's sometimes just like you kind of listen on like what perspectives do they laugh at? Do they like the dark stuff? Do they like sex stuff? Do they like cleaner? Or if someone starts huffing and puffing at any swear word, you're like, okay, yeah. I mean, that goes half of my material.
Exactly. Yeah. Aye, but it's absolutely fascinating, because I don't want to say there's a science to it because it sounds arsey, but there's certainly different rules for different occasions.
Yeah.
And it's maybe not some tangible that, like I could sit and explain to you, or you could explain to me, but we just kind of know that there's certain things for certain places. And then,
and that kind of, it's very relevant when you're doing some of the weirdest places, some of the most unique places that you've done, which is, you again chose a very left field, out of nowhere, like, how about we do jokes in prison?
Yeah.
The Wholesome Prison Blues.
Wholesome Prison Blues, mate. So this...
And it's been class. Like, I came and saw this show, and it's been fucking... I've been loving it.
Thank you. Cheers. We kind of struggled through the Fringe, because the room we had was far too big for us.
Yeah, fair enough.
We had a...
I mean, by fair enough, I mean, I can understand how can the...
Oh, yeah, but I'm getting ahead of the story. We'll come to how tough the Fringe was. So, yeah, the Fringe last year... Jack, I and Paddy were driving back from the Fringe, and we started talking about a comedian we know who she'd had half her audience walk out in the middle of her set.
That's the joy of the Fringe, man.
And Jack Trainer's sitting in the back of the car, and he's like, we should be able to fucking lock the door on these cunts until we're finished.
That's the Jack we know and love.
Aye. And then at that moment, and I said, oh, that's your ultimate captive audience, like locking the doors. And And at that moment, Johnny Cash's Wholesome Prison Blues came on. No, it wasn't. It was San Quentin, which is the jail song, his most famous jail song. And Paddy went, no, that's your ultimate captive audience, like in a jail. And I went, oh, it'd be cool to do a gig in a jail, right? And we all laughed, right? And that was it. But for the rest of that month, I was like, why can't we do fucking gigs in jails? So I kind of reached out to every prison in Scotland, and this is where the luck comes in as well, because as I was sending emails to prisons saying, would you want to do a comedy show, as I was sending these emails out, the Scottish Prison Service, they were sending emails out to prisons going, right, well, we've recovered from COVID, we need to start putting on some live shows and entertainment as rewards for the prisoners. So for
just getting through.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know what social distancing in prison looks like.
I mean, it was tough. Like, it was a proper lockdown for a lot of the prisons for a very long time.
Right.
But they're obviously limited in what they can do for that as well. So before COVID, like, they used to get comedians going in, very occasionally doing shows, like Kevin Bridges did it,
Oh, right, okay.
Fucking like CMB, he's done it. Viv G did it. You know, all these kind of guys who have been in prison, like the more experienced acts, they were doing that before COVID, which I had no idea about.
So it's not. It's okay. So it's not, for the people, because obviously we're gonna get to like some people start kicking off about it. It's like it's been done before. It's
aye.
You just organised it more, and you just went. You did the whole tour.
Yeah. So I was like, well, you know, if we can do one gig in one prison, that'll be amazing. So I just kind of spread our bets by contacting the majority of prisons in Scotland, and some of them came back straight away and went, "This is brilliant. This is amazing." So I kind of knew the genesis was going to be myself, Jack and Paddy, Paddy Linton, Jack Traynor and myself, and I wanted Eddie McKenzie as well, because I wanted to see Eddie do his Mad Dog 2020 song in prison. I thought, that'll be, the place will be an uproar. So I met up with Paddy, and he's like, listen, I think we can do 6 of us, like a team of 6. And I was like, well, let's go away and we'll have a list of names. You and I will have a list of names about who we think suitable, because not everybody's comedy is going to be suitable, or not everybody can handle the pressure. So we went away and we came back, and the first 2 names in both our lists were Mikey Motion and Amanda Hussey. Yeah, and we were like, that's it. Then that's the team. So yeah, so we've been doing gigs in prisons regularly since November last year, right up to the Fringe there. So we've done Barlinnie a bunch of times. We've done Edinburgh Prison, Shotts, Pullman, Idlewell, which is the private prison, which is a totally different kettle of fish because it's a private prison. We've done Lomos as well. The first Wholesome Prison Blues gig was in Lomos, which is the Bishop Briggs, the top of Glasgow. That was fucking amazing, because we didn't know, we had no idea what we were walking into, and we didn't know if it was going to work. Yeah, like I'm curious, because like before any gig, there's that 5 minutes before, like, this is not going to be funny. You know, the mind games, that part of your brain is like, this is bullshit, this is leave, leave, get out. Exactly. And then now you can get out. Exactly, yeah. So the gig in Lomos, it was the end of November 2022. Eddie couldn't do it because he was being Santa Claus in Edinburgh, and Mike had a family thing on, so it was myself, Paddy, Jack and Amanda. And just walking in that prison, I think we were all laughing, what the fuck are we doing here? Because we didn't know if it was going to be well received or not. And we went out, and the 4 of us, every single one of us fucking smashed it, particularly Amanda. And Amanda was probably more nervous because she's a woman walking into an all-male environment. Yeah, and that environment's a prison. And as far as I know, prisons and male prisons are not known for their, big feminist agenda. Yeah. But she fucking smashed it, and like everybody got an applause break as well. Really? And like, as a comedian, I think if you're doing a short set, a 5-10 minute set, if you get one applause break, you've done well. That's a victory. And everybody got an applause break, and it was a Thursday afternoon as well. So comedy isn't built for Thursday afternoons. But well, in a prison, I don't know. I think for them that was the weekend. Aye. So I don't know, but yeah. So it's that first gig, and we're maybe onto something here. And we'd spoken to some pro acts before we did the first gig, and they were like, won't work, you can't do a mixed bill in a prison, they only want to see 1 or 2 people. And these were people that were fairly well versed in doing prison gigs, and they were like, nah, it's not going to work, because you'll die on your arse. Just I think their experience was, when they've done prison gigs, it's like 1 or 2 acts. I mean, yeah, but it also depends on who you're. Like, if you're supporting someone like Kevin Bridges, then okay, fair enough. Oh yeah, aye. Then you're a support for Kevin Bridges. Yeah. They're there to see Kevin Bridges. Yep. But if there's people that are not necessarily that famous, or it's not like they have an audience that everyone's just there to see them. Yeah. Then they all have a equal chance of. Oh, doing well, yeah. Exactly. So that was the Thursday. We did the first gig, and then Thursday afternoon, the Monday morning, my email box was full from other prisons in Scotland saying, we've heard about the wonderful work you're doing, can you come and do a show in our prison? And I was like, fucking, we've got them. So I think we've done probably 22 prison gigs now,
Right.
And some prisons we go back to a lot, you know, just because they're good prisons.
What's your favourite prison?
Favourite prison? I think,
If you had to go to a prison, right?
oh, like as a criminal. Some of my materials criminal. Like all the prisons have different things. Like Barlinnie's always a good one. But that's Barlin. That's less like the toughest prison in Scotland. It's the oldest prison in Scotland. So it's always good to go in there because it's, you know, you feel like you're in a prison. Whereas you go
when you go to a prison, you want to feel like it.
Yeah.
You want to feel like you're getting a proper experience of a prison. Not this wanky shit fucking doing.
But then you go into like newer prisons like Lomos or Adderwell,
Right.
and they're new builds. They're about 10 years old, so you feel as if you're walking into almost a community centre.
Right. Okay.
Because it's very modern looking.
And I guess there's a bit more emphasis on rehabilitation.
And I'm glad you brought it up because before we started in Wholesome Prison Blues, I was always of the opinion like, if you've done your crime, you should be going into prison, fucking sit in a cell for 22 hours a day and think about what you've done. Right, that was my opinion. But from the minute I walked into the first prison, and I feel quite privileged because I did all the work in setting the gigs up. I got to go out to every prison, have a meeting with the governor, the deputy governor, head of offender outcomes, lots of different people, just so they knew we were legit. And they were all very proud of where they work, and I get tours of every prison in Scotland, and they show me the rehabilitation work they do and the education and training systems. So now I know that you know, going to prison, that's your punishment, is going to prison, but your time in prison is about rehabilitation, education and training.
Yeah.
So that by the time you leave, you're more adjusted to like work in society.
And just what you said about like, oh, go to your room and sit there. Like, realistically, the people that, not all of them, there are psychos out there. I'm not about to argue that, right? There are evil people out there, but there's plenty of people that, you know, if you already come from a low socioeconomic background, let's say emotional intelligence is not there because you don't grow up in a family where you know they talk about understand yourself and your desires and all that stuff, like psychologically, and then you try to like you don't even know how to understand what you want and how to deal with these strong urges you have. And then you really think that putting them by themselves into a room and just letting them with their demons and be like, let's get ready to rumble. Do you think that's going to be the way to get them back to be productive members of society?
It's really not. And there's quite a high percentage of people that are in prison. They're in prison because of crimes they've committed because of a drugs or alcohol dependency. And then the people that have drugs or alcohol dependency have these dependencies or these addictions because of some sort of childhood trauma.
Aye.
And that's just men. If you look at the statistics for females, it's fucking exponentially through the roof. It's a lot larger.
The trauma,
So it's not a case of people basically going, I want a free TV, and they're going to buy TV. It's not that. It's because they've got a habit that they need to pay for, and the only way they can pay for that habit is unfortunately to break the law.
Yeah.
And I was kind of maybe I was blind to all this before I started this project. And so I like speaking about it, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do that, because hopefully there's other people out there maybe watching this that they were of the opinion I was. They just fucking let them.
I mean, someone's still got to kick off, and like trying to be fair. There is some people that again, they're a menace to themselves and society. However, there's also been cases that people we thought were menaces turned out in enough time to turn themselves around and become productive members of society and become good, decent people.
Yep.
So it's not like we're not always the best judges of character.
No, of course.
Like, only time will tell. Now, again, so you can kick off as much as you want, but the truth is still there that, you know, plenty of people have turned their lives around, and they should be given the chance, and we should help those people.
100%.
Because the more we do that, the more people will likely turn around.
Exactly.
The more success you have, the more people are like, maybe I can try this. Maybe there is a way out.
Definitely, yeah. And it's like we've anytime we've had any kind of press or media for Wholesome Prison Blues, on social media, there's always a handful of people in the comments going, why are prisoners getting free comedy, you know? I said, well, why should they not? And you know, it's exactly the reasons you've said there. You know, you've got to fucking treat people well, and you have to treat them like people. If you treat them like fucking pieces of shit, then they'll always act like a piece of shit.
Yeah, and again, and not to take away from like people, you know, are responsible for their own actions, but it's like, this might be because all the acting stuff, but like with acting, you kind of learn to like analyze where people come from and why they believe the things that they believe, and you kind of realize that you don't choose who you are, you don't choose what environment you're born into, you don't choose what information is available around you.
Definitely.
And let's say you're trying to make the best of what you got. Meanwhile, you know, you're seeing your parents batter each other, whatever. Like, it's not that easy. Again, they're responsible, and you know, they did those things.
Oh yeah. Yep.
But we should also acknowledge that there is redemption and there is such a thing as a second chance.
Exactly. Yeah.
But now you can also talk about where there's the cut-off line where you're like, nah, you fucking done it.
That's another conversation. But no, it's actually a privilege every time you walk into prison. And as I say, every single member of staff that we've come into contact with has been brilliant. They've made us feel safe. They've made us feel fucking appreciated as well. And you can tell that they're actually in their job to make a difference in people's lives.
How you said you also did a couple of private prisons.
Yes.
How was the comparison for that?
So the private prison we've done, and I probably shouldn't have mentioned it because of what I'm going to say, but it's a very different atmosphere in a private prison. Private prisons are funded by the government but run by private companies.
Right.
So the companies get paid per prisoner per hour they're out of their cell during the day. So if you've got a private prison, you're out your cell for maybe 7-8 hours a day, as opposed to 4 or 5 in a normal prison, because the company's making money. So they do get more training opportunities in private prisons most of the time, and I'm probably not the best person to go any further into that.
Yeah, like to give it an analysis.
But you know, like the gig we did, just said it. The gig we did there was phenomenal because the guys all got a play piece, right? So we went in, we set up the room, we set up our banner, did the sound check, and then they took us for lunch, right? So we had proper prison food, which we've had in other prison food is available. But when we came back into the room, the guys were already in, and they had like a bottle of juice, a sausage roll, and a toffee crisp, right? And it was a Friday afternoon, but straight away, like, these guys are out there, they're out their peters, out their cells, and they're excited, and they've got chocolate and juice and a sausage roll, and they're like, yes. So we got a big cheer when we walked in.
Just because you're like,
because their spirits were up, and we knew straight away this was going to be a belter. And like everybody smashed it, but there was guys just fucking like, one guy was heckling a wee bit and Jack put him in his place, and then another guy was heckling that, put him in his place, and it was just good. It was electric. It was just the atmosphere was good. So we've requested if the other prison gives the prisoners a play piece now, but they don't have the budget for that.
Right.
The food budget's proper tight and in prisons at the moment, just because they've got to obviously toe the line and stuff. But it's like every prison's every comedy gig's different. You know, if you play in one club, you play in another club, it's always a different atmosphere, and it's the same in the prisons as well.
Did you ever, like, some of these questions probably have answered already, but like playing these gigs, obviously you get a feel of the crowd as you're playing it, and sometimes you go, okay, that's a line. Did you ever feel that of like, okay, let's gently pivot from this?
So there was a gig we did. It was before the Fringe last year, and I do a bit about Def Leppard.
Yeah.
And it's an amputee joke because it's about the drummer from Def Leppard who had an arm amputated. And halfway through this joke, I was balls deep in it, right? I had to finish it, but halfway through, I looked along the front row, and at the very end, there was a prisoner in a wheelchair, with what was a very clearly freshly amputated leg.
Oh no!
Right?
Oh, bless your soul. That's
And I paused just for a minute, right, and everybody in the room turned and saw him and fucking laughed because they were like, oh, he's fucked it. So I had to finish the joke, right? And straight away I was like, sorry mate, what's your name? Blah blah blah. I says, can you play the drums? Right? And he went, no. He said, I tell you what, I can't fucking play football either. And the boom, the place erupted. It was brilliant.
Nice. That was good save. Good save.
It was tough, yeah, but I like there's some material that probably isn't suited for prisons. You know?
Yeah.
And then particularly when we do the female populations, we have to tone it back even more.
Yeah. Because
we don't want to trigger anybody or give them any flashbacks to negative experiences. So sometimes you have to be a bit more careful about your material. However, before we did any Wholesome Prison Blues gigs, the line was, don't talk about this, don't talk about that, blah blah blah. And then as we're more experienced, they're now saying, no, you can be a wee bit freer, you know.
Yeah, because now there's a trust element of it as well. Yeah,
and they know that we're not there to cause offence. We're there to entertain. So we certainly now have a lot more freedom doing the prison gigs than we did when we first started. Just because they know us and they know. And
I think this is a very specific. It's not like they're coming to see your show at the Fringe. Or like, this is my show. I'm going to do my fucking show. You're going into their establishment. You have to respect their rules as well.
Definitely.
So that's fair enough.
So and Jack Trainer, he's got a brilliant bit because the first time we did Edinburgh, big up Jack. Fucking, I'm surprised he's not been in this podcast. He's been in every other.
He will be. He's on the lineup.
Podcast. Jack was asked specifically the second time we went to Edinburgh Prison, and I'll not ruin the joke because he does material about it now.
Yeah.
But he was asked specifically, don't do this joke because there's somebody in the crowd that this joke that could be about.
Oh.
So Jack was like, wait a minute, there's a fucking email going about the Scottish Prison Service about my material, and they went, yes, pretty much, so you can't do this joke. And he went, oh. But even then, like, you could, and we were all laughing, but you could see the cogs going, and he's like, oh, this is brilliant, So, and
the joke you can't even tell in prison.
Yeah. Or you couldn't tell to this particular crowd because there was one person in this crowd that was maybe guilty of such a thing. But go and see Jack Trainer, or come and see the Wholesome Prison Blues.
Yes, absolutely. So, yes, it'll be coming at the Glasgow Comedy Festival as well.
Saturday 23rd of March at Blackfriars.
Yeah, it was quite funny actually.
Tickets now available. So we did the Glasgow Comedy Festival last year.
Yeah, a bunch of your venues.
Yeah.
You want to tell me about that, because that was class.
So for the comedy festival, we did 6 shows.
Yeah.
4 of them were public, and one was in Lomos Prison and one was in Ballinnie Prison, and we actually get Ballinnie Prison registered as an official venue for the Glasgow Comedy Festival, which you couldn't buy tickets for, but it was just from our point of view, it was a cool marketing thing.
Yeah,
because we wanted people that maybe didn't know what show they were going to see. Like, where's showing comedy shows? And they go, Ballinnie Prison, why is that on there? And that led to a lot of sales for our public shows.
Actually, yeah.
Which was good, yeah.
Yeah, there's something about doing mad stuff every now and again. Just something, not mad, but something just out there.
Yeah,
people go,
Aye. So we're...
What's wrong with these boys?
Wrong with these maniacs. So we're just doing the one public show at the Comedy Festival in Glasgow this year, but we're hoping to do maybe 2 or 3 inside Ballinnie, and maybe go back to Lomos Prison as well, as part of the Comedy Festival. Nice. Which is good, because it means the guys we're performing to, they just feel included in something bigger than their day, you know.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you the first gig we did in Lomos Prison, going back to that, there was one guy in the crowd, and he was sat away from everybody else, so he clearly wasn't in a group, you know, he maybe wasn't a popular guy. And the 4 of us noticed him straight away, and like, he laughed at every punchline, every setup, every fucking segue, right? He was just having a ball. And see, for that hour, This wee guy wasn't in prison. He was in fucking like the Comedy Store. You know, we were able to take him out, his experience, for an hour. And he was loving it, and we all noticed that. And we all said, like, if we do nothing else with Wholesome Prison Blues, we've done that for that one guy.
I mean, again, he's reminded there is fun and good in real life.
There's kind of stuff out there.
Unless he's laughing at like,
these pricks think they're funny. This is ridiculous. No, I can actually still see his face just fucking laughing away, and it was brilliant. So yeah, I would like to think we'd maybe touch more people, you know, in that way, and just take them out their environment for an hour, and made them feel as if they are in a comedy club.
Yeah. What? Any bad heckles? Any?
So there are some, like in the prisons,
nothing that ruins material, but
again, there's just a couple of people fucking stepped on material because they've seen the punchline and they shout it out. But you've got to address that, because if you don't address it, same as any other comedy club, if you don't address a heckle, somebody else is going to fucking jump in as well. So it sounds like such a marketing thing. There are bad heckles, but we all do material about them. So I don't want to say them
so
here.
No spoilers, yeah.
So again, 23rd of March, Blackfriars, 6 p.m.
Nice.
But no, that is just a wild thing, like going into prisons, and it's quite a niche thing as well, because we're doing it, as you said earlier, we're doing it as a tour.
Yeah.
You know, we built it as a tour of Scottish prisons rather than just like a one-off gig.
Yeah, I mean,
what was done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's a unique thing as well. But it's hard not to see sort of, from my perspective anyway, the benefit of creating like just hope, if nothing else.
Yeah. One of the things that Paddy and myself are going to do, starting next year, we're actually going to do stand-up comedy workshops in prisons, which it'll be like a 6-week course. We'll maybe go in 2 days a week and just sit down with a small group of guys and build a 5-minute set for them each. And at the end of the 6 weeks, they'll be able to perform to a small group of family and friends, hopefully. And just so
over the phone and the
it'll actually be in the prisons. Like you can have visitors going into prisons for I mean, they obviously get visitors anyway, but you're allowed to have visitors, extracurricular visitors for special occasions. So the prisons that we're negotiating it with just now are quite happy for that to happen as well.
Okay.
But that's so it's not just teaching them stand-up comedy. We're just not. It's not just fucking how to tell dick jokes. It's transferable skills that will hopefully, when they leave.
It's communication.
Yeah. So it's communication. It's how to speak confidently in public. It's creative writing. It's how to read
self-expression.
People as well. Yeah, self-expression. So it's and there are courses and programs in prison that teach this, but a lot of the guys don't want to do it because it's maybe seen as like a weakness. Like, why would you go and do a course on expressing yourself or understanding your emotions?
This is an interesting thing about like, especially in the working class environment. I come from a working class family as well, and it's like some of them are lucky that the families kind of appreciate art, but stand up is more available.
Exactly,
and more accessible.
It's more accessible, yeah. And it's much easier for a guy in prison to say, I'm going to go to a stand-up comedy course, rather than I'm going to do this training course and fucking speak in the public. So hopefully we can roll this out, and we're still doing prison shows. We're in the progress of booking more shows for next year. Excuse me. But I think like maybe Amanda keeps saying like there needs to be a lasting legacy of Wholesome Prison Blues, and I think hopefully this will be the thing, is that the stand-up comedy courses are something that we can do in every prison, and be myself and Paddy doing it initially, but it's maybe something that will continue for years down the line, where get guys are actually fucking taught something fun. And in the meantime we can steal that.
I mean, there's an example of this. There's an American comedian, Ali Siddiq,
right,
who he's
Oh yeah.
He went to prison,
Yeah.
and he talks a lot. Like there's a whole bit I saw about a prison riot that took place.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, and it's already out there, but the whole thing is called Mexican got boots on, because apparently that's the sign that there's a riot about to kick off because people got boots on.
Fucking hell, right?
And he's someone who's again came out of prison.
Right, well.
I don't know if he started doing stand up in prison, but he's been very open and talking about that.
Well,
He's been killing it. Like he's been making a living. He's a professional comic now.
Killing it, brilliant.
And any other crime I can relate comedy to real quick. He's probably stealing them lads.
Brilliant. So that's the good thing about doing these courses as well, is that like we can steal the material because they're not getting a chance to use it for. That's right. Sorry, that's.
It's like, hey, you learned about hope, but let's also discover capitalism.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So it's like going forwards. More prison shows. I think if we're going to do the Fringe next year, it'll be in a smaller venue.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you what's the lessons you learned from the Fringe. Obviously, so this year, still this year.
Yep.
We did there was a whole Socky Hall Comedy Club stuff.
Yes.
We did bits and bobs there. You did the whole Wholesome Prison stuff.
Yeah.
And it was eye-opening to see like kind of the power of smaller venues, of like the things you can do with like networking, but pay what you want. Not networking, but like just promoting, pay what you want.
Yep.
Have a price, don't have a price.
Yeah.
Where do you put the gig in Edinburgh?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like what was the big lesson, big takeaway?
So I think the main thing I learned from the Fringe this year is don't go with one of the big companies in a big venue for your kind of first few years of the Fringe. And I'll say that because we were offered a 150 seater room for Wholesome Prison Blues for the full run of the Fringe, and we were all really excited. We went, this is fucking brilliant, like 150 seater, that's a massive room, who gets this chance? And we found out very quickly that selling 150 tickets a day at the Fringe is fucking,
I mean, it's
not an easy task.
No, I keep coming back to the trust factor of like, you need to have a lot of people's trust for.
Yep.
I mean, in just 1 week, you're counting on 1,050 people to show up every day.
Oh yeah.
Well, not every day, but throughout the whole week.
Yeah.
That's a lot of trust.
And it was far too many tickets to sell. Now, I should point out, like the weekends, we were all able to go out and fly, and we worked our asses off, and we filled the room 5 or 6 times out of 24 days.
Okay, that's
so it's a
huge.
Quarter. But as a comedian, if you're playing a large room, if you're playing a room of 150 that only has 18 people in, it's fucking tough, and you're going to struggle. You could be the funniest guy, you could be having your, the best run of your life, but if you're playing at 18 people in a massive room, it's not going to be fun. It's not going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, not for you. And also, there's something about the audience as well, isn't it? I was talking to a comedian at the Fringe who was telling me about the buy-in of like, as you're listening, the audience kind of buys into what you're saying, and the more they buy in, the more they listen. But if there's things getting in the way and they start getting in their head of like, now they're paying less attention, now they're less likely to even hear the joke that you're saying, and now it's like it becomes a snowball effect of like, shit, and now they laugh and less. And I think being in an empty room, there's an element of like, we're the only ones. And that's in the back of your head of like, are they shit? Like we've all seen those gigs where like the audience goes quiet, and like you want to laugh, and you like I've got I don't give a fuck, I'll laugh, but you also see people that like just chuckle to themselves because they don't want to laugh because this is weird.
So that was the main thing. Like don't go with a room that's too big. And you look at the pro acts, like people we've gigged with. I'll not mention them by name, but people that are fucking selling out the Kings next year. Their Fringe run, they were doing rooms that were 60, 70 people. And if that's a pro act, happy to sell 70 tickets a day, why the fuck are we trying to do 150?
Well, you were the one telling me about the act that came from New York.
Yes, so
bless him. No names.
That guy. No, it's all right. So Grant Lancaster, I met him on a podcast, and Grant's a comedian from New York, and he had a one-man show about. He basically travelled around Thailand, and he got this fucking this bacteria, this parasitical bug that started attacking his brain. and it was slowly shutting down his brain and his body. So he effectively knew that he was dying, and he had to try and get to hospital, but he couldn't speak properly. People thought he was drunk and in drugs. He couldn't move, so that exacerbated people's opinions of him. And then he turned this into an amazing one-man show at the Fringe, but he really struggled. He was a gilded balloon. It was maybe at 10 o'clock at night, and he struggled to sell tickets just because he couldn't get a break with the marketing.
Yeah, and I mean, also, again, it's not to put the big companies down. They offer a very good service.
Oh, yeah.
But you need to ask yourself, do you need that service?
Yeah, because it's obviously going to cost him money as well to go.
Aye.
If you go to the big companies, you have to pay them for that room, and they take a cut of your ticket sales as well, which is fine because that's the way it is. But you know, if you're paying X amount, but you're not even covering your costs, you're kind of goosed.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got shit ton of money, but realistically, you want to be thinking of like, okay, you know, it's not crypto. It's not like, wait,
no, exactly.
Invest everything, lose everything.
So I'll take this opportunity to point out that we actually made Wholesome Prison Blues did make a very small profit.
We're done.
The Fringe, thanks, man.
Done.
So I think realistically we'll get like 30 quid each for a month's work
financially, but the experience and the people you met and
oh yeah, no, like the Fringe was tough for me this year just because of the constant pressure of ticket sales for Wholesome Prison Blues. But as you said, we did the Sucky Hall Comedy Club presents between us all, and that was brilliant. That was a smaller room. We had to sell 28 tickets every day. We took responsibility for doing different shows between, 12 of us.
Yeah. No, it was a match-up, it was a mix.
Yeah, and that was the way to do it, because obviously the more people are involved, the pressure's spread out between everybody. It's not just one person, and it was great. It was a ball, and you could, I'm not in there tonight, so I can have a night off. Blah blah blah. So yeah, smaller rooms certainly for the Fringe are the way to go, I think. So for Wholesome Prison Blues next year, we're kind of looking at a 50-seater venue.
Nice.
Which I would rather sell out 50 tickets every night than struggle to get 60 or 70 or 80 tickets in a bigger room. And obviously the smaller your room as well, if you can sell out that small room, you've got a sold out Fringe show.
Yeah. I mean,
even though you've sold 28 tickets a night.
There's something about exclusivity as well, of like,
definitely.
When it's like, I can't get a ticket, then it's like, there's that frustration of like, next time.
Yeah. Coben's show, Coben Millage, his show at the Fringe, it was the best show I saw at the Fringe this year. Coben Millage. This show is for Lewis Capaldi and absolutely nobody else.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I saw the poster. It's one of the best posters out there, to be fair.
Awesome. But the room he did in, I think it was 18. So 18 people, like 18 tickets. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's
but compared to 150 numbers-wise.
But what a great show that was. And he's actually doing it at the Comedy Festival in March as well. I think he's doing a one-off show.
Of that attendance, yeah.
Let's try and get Lewis Capaldi to go to that.
Lewis, do it for the lads.
Exactly. But great show, and that was such a small room, and there's a lot to be said for being in a small room that's not necessarily built for comedy. But if you're right there and the audience is right on top of you, you've kind of already got that bond and you've got their attention.
Yeah, and you can see them, you can see their reactions. That's something I've been struggling with. So, of like, did the Stockton the while ago. That was the biggest room I've done of like 300 to 400 people.
Yep.
And it's like you go up there, it's like kind of hard to see people's faces.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, I just kind of have to listen really hard and feel okay, what's working, what's not working, what are we doing here?
Aye, that was a gong show you were there for as well, wasn't it? Yeah.
And gong shows are a different ballgame because there's not a lot you can pivot in a Plus, it's not that, I think once you get relaxed, there's a lot you can do in a gong show, but that was my first gong show in that big of a venue. So it was I was dizzy before I went up. I was like, oh fuck.
Yep. And you get through as well, didn't you? Beat the
gong? Yes. I came fifth, but I beat the gong. Brilliant. Which means,
that's awesome, man. Well
I survived my whole 5 minutes.
Brilliant, aye. Like as you say, gong shows are just a different entity as well. You can't go in and start a monologue. You can't do a 4-minute story because you'll get fucking carted off. You've got to. It's the first time I did a gong show. I thought I'll do a couple of short jokes, and then I'll start a story, and I'll have their attention, and that'll take me past the 4 minutes, and they get fucking bored after 2 minutes.
And that stories work. Was that? I think I remember it. Was
that was at the Burns house.
Yeah, you're telling the prison story.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And that was it's a good story.
Thank you. Yeah.
But you're just, again, as you said, it's like you're really setting up for that environment.
Yeah. Aye. So lesson learned. So I think I've done 3 gong shows since then, and I've beat the gong every time. And it's just short, sharp jokes, and just keep them laughing, and don't let them get bored, or don't let their attention.
Just don't let them stop being like, what's going on?
Yep.
Oh, no. I'm good. This is a bit of a left field question, a bit out there, but you've done obviously you're doing the comedy, you're doing the tattoo stuff, you've done the fighting. What do you think were like transferable skills between all 3 of them?
So I actually noticed this. So the first set I did at the stand, and it's kind of still the same. I think you touched on it earlier as well. Like you know, you're standing backstage and you're nervous, and you're like, do I really need to do this? And it's the same with fighting as well. Just before you walk out for your fight, you're standing backstage, you're nervous, and you're like, would anybody notice if I just fucking left? Like, of course people are going to notice. And then you go, oh, wait a minute, I've worked hard to get to this point, and people are here to see me, they've paid money to see me. This is what, you know, the past 6 weeks of my life I've been working towards. So dealing with nerves, I think I had an advantage over a lot of other people doing comedy for the first time, because I'd already dealt with like excessive nerves leading up to a show. So that was very transferable. With tattooing and comedy, I think, you know, you're tattooing somebody, you're sitting down with them for a long period of time. You have to find some common ground straight away. You have to be able to ask questions. You have to be able to read that person. Like, are they feeling okay? Are they going to pass out? You know, and over time you get to know that if somebody's not feeling well and they're fucking lying about it, you can read it, because you can just sense the atmosphere, or you can see it in their face. And that's obviously good for comedy as well, being able to read people.
Yeah. No, I'm fascinated about this, because the arts and comedy, they have this prestige of like, it's almost like magic. But it's very much, you know, you have to have a bit of a business mindset about it. And you have to, your people skills have to be, you know, on point.
Definitely.
And that's what I was curious about. How.
Yeah. So like just dealing with the public, maybe not the way I deal with every member of the public. But again, I suppose like the screenshot post where I'm being an asshole, that's kind of how I deal with hecklers as well.
Yeah.
It's like I'll give you a wee bit of, you know, if somebody's heckling, there's different reasons people will heckle you, right? They're funny, they think they're funny, they're drunk, or they're just a cunt.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple more reasons. But
like off the top of my head, I'm like, they're trying to help.
Yeah.
I've had one. Somebody heckled, and it's someone that I know.
Oh, really?
And I was like, what are you doing?
Fucking hell.
And he was like, I wanted to see how they handle it. And I was like,
is that a comedian? Or?
No. It wasn't a comedian. If a comedian heckles, you're dead to me.
Yeah.
Unless, there has to be a really good reason for a comedian to heckle. It's just someone I know that heckled.
Right, fuck.
Susie McCabe. Oh, and Susie, she's a professional.
Yeah, she would have been top of that.
It was all, you know, there's in a matter of seconds, things were sorted out. Right, I was just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Fucking
and he's like, I just wanted to test. They didn't say test, I wanted to see how they handle it. And I'm like, motherfucker, you don't do that at a gig.
Fuck, that's wild.
Yeah, so I think that's, people do things for their own reasons.
Yeah.
Obviously, but
so what I was saying previously about the screenshot post, that you'll give somebody the benefit of the doubt to a point, and then you're a wee bit cheeky, and then you're just fucking right now, fuck you. And it's probably the same with hecklers as well, because you have to find out, you know, if that person's drunk, if they're drunk and heckling you, if you go in too hard, you lose the rest of the audience. The audience go, oh, that's a bit too much.
Yeah, like if people think you're being unfair from the very beginning.
Yeah. So it's just all right, mate, shut up. Like, you just say to somebody, shut up, and then put them in their place, and then if they do it again, you can go, right, you fucking maniac, what do you think you're doing? And put them in their place, and then if they continue, then you're like, well, that's carte blanche, fucking right, I'm going to open up on you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about you and your mum.
Yeah, or me and your mum. So I suppose I'd never really thought of that just before then, that, you know, the way I construct the stream, my replies to the screenshot posts
is how you handle
how you would deal with a heckler. Fucking hell.
Yeah, but technically, that's, if you think about it, getting some random request and just it's kind of heckling your day-to-day when you're running a business.
Exactly, yeah. So the fighting, you know, dealing with nerves, that was good. That I kind of had that coming in, and just reading a crowd as well. And sometimes I still find it hard to read a crowd. I'm not gonna pretend. Like I think as we were talking about, I was like, I need to start listening instead of like fucking looking. Like because the lights are in your face. There's not much you can look. Aye,
but it helps a bit.
Oh, I mean, I've learned to kind of lean into some stuff now more regularly. So, you know, if you're the new 10-minute set I've been building, there's a wee bit of kind of physical comedy to it, and I've noticed that if I'm not getting a reaction at the start of that, if I put more into it and it's more exaggerated movements, that kind of wins the crowd over, because it might be a cop out because you're doing physical comedy. It's just a couple of motions, but if you really sell that and turn it into a pantomime almost, you're going to get the laugh eventually.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's I don't know enough about comedy. I don't know if that's seen as that's a shortcut, or you're fucking cheating to get the laugh rather than just relying on your words. But probably not, because comedy isn't just.
It's not just verbal.
It's
I mean, also it's like
well.
let's not pretend like a big part of comedy is not your intonation.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course.
And we all pull faces. Like.
Yep.
We all do act outs, and they definitely enhance sort of trying to convey the information.
Aye.
So, you know, don't fucking put yourself down over.
No, as I say, it's something I'm still learning, but I've noticed maybe in the past month or so, if you fucking go for it more, and instead of just doing a wee wiggle like that on stage, if you fucking jump about, you're going to get that reaction if it's not selling. And I think subtlety's one of the funniest things, but if you're doing physical comedy, it's not working, just fucking throw yourself into it.
No, that's a good point. Of like,
we probably need a workshop on that.
You can be too subtle as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, aye. Particularly the bigger the room. I remember reading an interview with Bruce Dickinson, who's the lead singer of Iron Maiden.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, he's really theatric when he's on stage. And people going, why do you do that? Why are you so fucking like you know, because you're a singer? And he says, yeah, but I'm playing at arenas. Like there's somebody at the back of the arena, they can't see me unless I'm throwing myself about, and I'm you know, making myself much larger than I actually am. And that's I kind of always remember that when I'm doing the physical stuff, that there's maybe when you said there, you can be too subtle. So
you have to remember that, like. And when communicating, like, who you talking to?
Yeah.
And you're not just talking to the front row.
Exactly, yeah. So it's that person at the back of the room that maybe can't see the wee fucking subtle nod of your head or whatever. So you've got to throw yourself into it. And I always remember that Bruce Dickinson interview, because it's like, well, if he's doing that, then, you know, why shouldn't I do that on stage as well? Or take that idea and transfer it to what I'm doing as well. Not that I'm fucking the Bruce Dickinson of comedy.
Not yet. But
not
give
yet.
it time.
Not yet.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm fascinated always by the number of transferable skills from like different sort of like genres and different mediums.
Like obviously for acting, for you, that's, you know, it's about stage presence. And, and like you're always very like, there's a lot of gestures and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's just me. I realise that.
But that's a good thing.
Like I emphasise with my whole body. I'm full on. I don't know what I'm blowing, but I'm blowing something.
But I mean, there's a lot of people just go on stage, and it's maybe not a criticism, but they just go on stage and just pick up the mic and they stand still.
Right.
And it's like if you're on a stage like in Stockton, or if you're doing the King's Theatre, you need to fucking walk up and down that stage. You have to cover every inch of it when you're talking. And like you watch like Bridges or Billy Connolly or even like Susie's special, when they're doing these big theatre gigs, they're walking up and down the stage. And when we went to the BBC New Comedy Awards there, the Dean was on.
Yeah.
Dean and the guy that won, they were the only 2 acts out of 6 that used the stage. Everybody else stayed almost static in the centre. And it was just like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, they're maybe not used to, using such a big stage. But like going down to Stockton for the Gong Show, like that's a 400-seater theatre, and it's a really wide stage. So you've kind of maybe got to move about a bit. But
absolutely.
But the amount of people, and even in smaller stages as well, they stand behind the mic and they just fucking talk, and it's like, well, it's kind of boring. And unless you're the best storyteller in the world, it's just a bit fucking boring.
I mean, it's there's something unique about like building common ground. That's what I keep coming back to. My mind of like stand-up's a lot about building common ground with your audience, especially in the beginning. And then once you have it, then you can take them in directions,
yes,
and things like that. And acknowledging them is one of the first ways of going, hey, you're here. Like everyone's saying that, like, we're in this, we're doing this.
Aye.
And as I was thinking about transferable skills, I was wondering, being in a fight versus being on stage performing, was there any? Obviously, you're not getting punched in the face physically, but emotionally, sometimes it feels like it.
It feels like it. Like, if you have a bad night at fighting, you're leaving with like physical scars.
Yeah.
If you have a bad night doing comedy, you're leaving with emotional scars.
Yeah, like this.
But I think we're quite ready to admit, like, we already have loads of emotional scars. That's why we're doing comedy. But yeah, it's sometimes you're up against it. And the first time I died on my arse doing comedy, it was like, oh fuck! Like it's the same as when you know you're getting beaten in a fight, and you just need to keep going. I need to get through this. I can't stop. And if you're dying on your arse, probably there's a lot inside you. Just fucking walk off. Just go away. And
Yes, and I found something else as well.
Right.
It's sometimes that voice is like, okay, like just get this over with. So you start speeding up.
Yeah, right.
And what you're doing is you making it worse because now they can't even hear the jokes properly.
Yep, yeah.
They're not communicating them properly.
Okay.
Or fully, not properly, but fully.
Aye, yeah, no, you're right. But I if it's the 5th round, you're getting your ass handed to you in a fight, fucking see the thing out, just keep going. And again, the first time I died in my arse, I was like, just keep going, just fucking, just pick it up and do what you can.
Yeah, because
try and salvage a wee bit of self-respect, if nothing else.
And that too, and is also with fighting, with comedy, sometimes it's, you gotta see it to the end because you don't know.
Yep.
There might be that joke that fucking gets something happens, and that's where something clicks.
Definitely.
So if you're just bouncing, then you're fucking losing out on some potential gold.
Definitely. And it's maybe a bit of a cliche, but like as a stand-up comedian, people never want to know about your best gigs. They want to know about the times you've died on your ass.
Oh, I can tell you that right now. I did 10 minutes to utter silence in the bungalow in Paisley because I was talking about the war, and that's on me. Some of that bit, it worked sometimes,
right?
But that particular night, it was not working.
Really, fuck.
But I had fun.
Right, okay, cool,
right? And then the thing that happened that kind of made me giggle was the couple came up to me at the end, and that was funny, saying it was just a bit too political. And she goes, but I fucking love that. He was right. And I was like, so that was my wee sort of, okay, I started something here,
Fucking hell, right, okay.
That was my little victory of like,
right, amazing.
But yeah, I remember just doing 10 minutes of silence. That, and I did Archangel.
Oh, wow,
and again,
that's tough.
Yeah, and that was my first 10 minutes as well. And again, it's like in the beginning when you're doing your first 10 minutes set, like...
And like people are eating their dinner as well when you're doing that, yeah.
And again, it was like some of it was the delivery, some of it was the wrong material for the wrong crowd, and some of it was that's all I had. I was gonna do my time.
Wow, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
wow. Is what it is.
Yeah, but it's
like I always say to like new comedians as well, if they ask, and it's like the best thing that can happen to you is dying on your arse, because it gets it out of the way, and it just means that it's a fucking harsh lesson to learn. But if you die on your arse, and again, so this is the same as fighting, right? If you lose a fight, you learn more because you go back and go, what could I have done better in that fight? And you learn more if you get beat than if you win, because if you win you go fucking just do the same again. And comedy's kind of the same. Like if you have a good gig, you go, I'll just do the same set again. Whereas if you die on your arse, you look back and you go, what can I change?
It's getting you closer to the good gigs.
Like what can I do better? And so as I always say, like you learn more from a loss and a win, fighting, comedy, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're successful, you don't change things too much because you're a success. If you fail at something, you've got to reevaluate it and then come back and do it better and stronger and in a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is because comedians, they always say, "Oh, I could never do what you do." Oh my God, you know, it's like, and the big lesson was you can't die from shame.
Yeah.
Like one of the big, you can't.
Yep.
Like what? Well, I don't know. You can get really depressed about it, but one of the big fears is not even like, oh, what if I don't do well? It's like you're afraid of the shame you're gonna feel when people don't like you, or if it lands on its face, or like it all comes back to like, oh, I'm gonna feel so ashamed I won't be able to deal with it. I was like,
yep.
Nah. Like nothing happened in the past 2 years. I've bombed plenty. I've won plenty. Yeah. Nothing's happened.
You're still here.
Like,
yep.
So every now and again you get like a snippy comment online or something, and you don't die from that either.
Yeah. Aye.
And I think it's been I think it's one of the biggest lessons of stand-up comedy. I recommend it to everybody. Is like nothing happens if you fail in public.
Yeah, you'll feel a little bit shit about it, and then you'll have the next gig and you'll do better at that gig. Yeah,
like right now we're literally living in a world where like you can see literally anything and everything on the internet.
Yep.
Like there's something more fucked up.
Yeah, definitely. It's a fucking lonely time though, isn't it? When you are dying on your ass.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, if we're talking mental health, yeah.
And it seems a lot longer. Like I've watched videos back where I've died on my ass, or you know, I've forgotten the next line, and you're up there and you're trying to remember. And like the first time it happened to me at Peckham's second gig I did, I was doing a new bit, and I forgot the segue to go from one bit to the next. I just stood there. I looked at my wife and I was like, "What's the next line?" And generally looking back, I would think this was like 30, 35, 40 seconds that I stood like that, and watching the video it was like 7 or 8 seconds, but it felt like a lifetime. I was like, but looking
it's like
back,
the opposite.
It wasn't that bad.
It's like a dream. You know, it's like a really bad one. It's like you live a whole life in 7 minutes.
It was fucking horrible. But and again, learn my lessons from that. You know, kind of move on. If you can't remember what you're going to say, make a joke about it. Yeah,
like you can make a joke about anything.
Aye.
But yeah, man, it's that is class of just fucking trying to keep it together when that pressure's on.
Oh yeah, but again, it's all a learning curve, and like even if you do have a bad gig, like there's something you can take away from it. And there's maybe just you've changed a bit because you don't give a fuck by the end, and you change a line or you change your delivery, and you go, actually that was better. That's the best.
Sometimes you ad lib a little bit because like like I happened to me a couple of times of like I've got a joke, I say the thing, and I'm happy with it, and it gets nothing, and then I ad lib something on top of it, and that gets a laugh, and I'm like, okay, well that's fucking
keeping that.
There's something to that one.
Brilliant.
But I think I'm just talking about mental health. I think when bombing sucks. Yeah. But bombing on a lineup where most of the other acts do well or great.
Yep.
Oh.
Aye. You're like, it's definitely just me. It's not like those. If everybody else is destroyed on the bill, then you can't blame the crowd, can you?
Yeah.
You've just got to take it on the chin.
Just gonna be like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing. Is it the material? What about the material? What did I do wrong?
Yep. Again, it's just fucking like, look at it, learn from it, move on to the next gig, and fucking. But it's tough, and you see like mental health as well. It's like when I've had gigs I've not even necessarily done bad, but I've had a run of maybe 2 or 3 gigs, and I'd like everything you do, you're just killing everything. Everything's getting big laughs, and then you go with what's meant to be a bigger gig, and you do alright, and you go, maybe I'm shite.
Yeah,
even though you've done well by your own standards, but because you've had a run up of better gigs, and you think,
the expectation,
I'm
head.
going to take the fucking roof off this, and you don't, and then you go, oh, maybe I should just stop doing comedy.
No, I think it's been actually quite nice to see some of the professional comics be open about it. Like Nelson's been pretty good about talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and it was just an eye-opening thing of like in my head realizing that there's never going to be a moment from which on every gig's a success.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Aye.
Hopefully they'll be less frequent.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Hopefully.
That's the plan.
But there's still going to be an absolute fucking stinker.
Oh aye.
And it's like the more you, like in acting as well, it's like the more you move up and you get bigger opportunities, you also going to get bigger losses.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's just been something interesting because I think I at least had that thought in my head of like I get to a certain level and then it's fucking smooth sailing from then on, boys.
Yeah. Aye. I suppose like if you know it's just a gamble. You know, like the more money you're willing to gamble, the bigger the win, but also the bigger the loss. So you know, like the bigger gigs you play.
But overall, you're getting ahead and you're getting bigger and better stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
And like whenever you do win, it's a bigger win than like let's say a couple of years back.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But I'm fucking. I was just thinking about this the other day. Like I'm so proud of like our group, and it's not an exclusive group because you know there's a core of maybe like 12 of us, and then there's other comedians as well that are on the periphery, or you know, guys that are in the 12 but we don't see them for a couple of months because we've got other things going on. But like everybody's just fucking going forwards. And like we're all getting more weekend gigs now, which is what comedians want. You want to get booked for the weekends, and we're getting more weekend gigs, some more than others, which is good.
But again, that comes around, turns around. There's ebbs and flows for everybody.
Yeah, aye, but it's not like Dean fucking smashed the BBC Comedy Awards. Yep. I think he was robbed. But you know he's getting booked for bigger gigs. He's been down at Hot Water. He was down at Hot Water fucking loads. In Liverpool, which is arguably the biggest comedy club in Britain. He's just been booked for the Glee as well.
Yeah, he's officially the Glasgow kid.
The Glasgow kid. So it's fucking brilliant. Like we Jack Traynor, he's smashing it as well. He's getting fucking gigs up and down the country. So is Peter Bell.
Yeah.
Sean Chalmers just toured with Craig Campbell.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. And
like everyone's.
And like this time last year, I think out of the 12 of us, there was maybe 1 or 2 people getting weekend gigs.
Yeah.
And now it's like fucking more than half of us are regularly getting booked in the weekend. It's awesome. Like when I get into comedy, I thought it was all going to be people just backstabbing each other and like stepping their granny's head to get a gig.
Yeah, I mean there is some of that. There to be fair, and we all have egos, and we all get sometimes. You know, we all have insecurities, and sometimes like, well, why is it not me?
Yep.
And then you kind of have to like put that aside and be like, dude.
Yeah.
A win's a win.
100%.
And there's something beautiful like it's just sort of being in this environment and this sort of positive environment has taught me like sometimes like. It's not competition. Even competition is like collaboration in a way because you're learning from another person's success. Like,
definitely,
you can't do all the fucking like. You can't try everything yourself.
Yeah. So
you can see if someone else did it. You're like, okay, at least I've got something to learn from there.
100%. It's good. I always say this: like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
And like you know, it's fucking like what one person in the group does good. Everybody else just gets buoyanted
Lifted, aye.
Lifted by the fucking
increased buoyancy. I don't fucking know.
Yeah. It's fucking, it's awesome. It's really, as I say, it's not what I thought it was going to be like, and it's so much better for it. And I think like the Glasgow comedy community is proper tight knit. And again, there's people doing other shows or other gigs that maybe aren't as tight knit, and that's fine. If that's,
I think there's multiple smaller groups as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, of course there is. And like I think just maybe in the past 6 months, like there's the same thing happening in Edinburgh now. There's a lot more established open mic nights in Edinburgh and good open mic nights in Edinburgh. There's a lot going on at Leith Depot as well, since Fringe. It's really good and it's really supportive. And then I think we're just lucky that we've got into this time, and everybody kind of come in.
Yeah, there's luck in it as well. I'm not going to pretend. But also, it's like, but it's something like if it was somebody else, would still be hustling.
Oh no, of course, and that's the hustle. That's what I loved about the Fringe. Like, I hated the work, but I loved the hustle.
Aye.
Like just trying to pick up extra gigs, fucking like meeting different people,
being absolutely exhausted.
Fucking. So I lost a kilo over the Fringe, right? Because my diet in the Fringe was protein bars, energy drinks, and a slice of pizza.
Okay.
After the Ocean prison, and I lost, because you're walking about so much and you're going from gig to gig and you're fucking.
Mine was Pie Maker, amazing pies.
Oh yeah.
The kebab shop up the stairs.
Mate, aye.
Shout out to that kebab shop up the stairs in Edinburgh, just from just as you go from Waverley, man. Oh.
But the hustle of the Fringe was great, and I did the Fringe last year, but I think I only did 3 or 4 gigs the full month because I was relatively new. And then like the Fringe here, I was doing 3 or 4 shows a day. Sometimes I was doing 5 or 6, and it was fucking brilliant. And some of those you're just picking up on the day as well, because somebody's pulled out, or blah blah blah. But the hustle is fucking awesome, man. I love it. It's good. And
it's just something like it's very like dirty and grimy and sweaty and all that, but it's just at the end of it you'll go, oh my god, look at all this stuff I've done.
Exactly.
The things I've been through, the things I've experienced.
Yep. And like doing a large amount of gigs in a short amount of time, like you're fucking so much better as a comedian for it at the end of that.
Yeah, because you're sharp and all that.
Yeah.
You're great.
I think I did just under 60 gigs throughout the Fringe over the 24 days. And the last weekend, like the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I think I did 4 gigs each day, and see every gig, it didn't matter what I said, how I said it, people were fucking buying into everything, and it was fucking amazing. You're shooting everywhere, and like you're just getting that energy back, and it was fucking amazing. And that's just from doing so many gigs, as I say, and you're just in the zone, and it was brilliant. And then you stop, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. The classic post-performance blues of like you had a month of just endorphins, and now you're like, bells.
Aye, fucking mad bells.
All right, man. I mean, I guess there's 2 questions, and then I'll let you go as well.
Okay, cool.
Live your life.
Thank you.
But the family needs you. I'm not going to hold you back.
Oh, that's right.
But I guess it's what's sort of the long-term ambition. Obviously, you got Glasgow Comedy Festival with the Wholesome Prison Booze.
Yep.
You've got Fringe again next year. Sorry, not this year. Is there a 5-year plan? Is there a long?
So
is there a direction?
I think over the next maybe 2 or 3 years, I want to be getting paid weekend gigs, and I would still want to gig during the week, but I think everybody wants to do the big comedy clubs,
which you have been doing.
I have, I'm getting a good wee bit of momentum with the stand just now, which is good. So I did the trilogy, which is, if people don't know, you do the Edinburgh, Glasgow, Newcastle red draws, and again it's just the red draws. It's not weekend gigs yet, but I'm doing them regularly now. 10-minute sets each. I fucking had to work hard to get a 10-minute set at the stand. But yeah, so certainly over the next couple of years, I want to be doing more weekend gigs. Ideally, like, you know, we'll use the stand as, since we're talking about it. I want to do, certainly next year coming, I want to be doing the midweek shows for them, not just Red Draw, but the midweek shows, and then get a couple of spots at the weekend as well. And then that'll be a regular thing, maybe 2-3 years down the line. Ultimately, I want to be able to do a small tour, right, and just like a theatre tour, you know, like what Tom Stade does.
Yeah.
Tom tours around smaller towns and stuff, fucking packs them out, and he knows people in the crowds. You know,
like he's got his regulars.
He's worked really hard at building up this following, you know, and people will always go and see him. And you know, he plays theatres and you know, I don't know what other venues, but it's fucking, you know, he's selling at least 400 or 500 tickets, if not more, for every gig. And I want to be in that position, you know, I think you can always say, I want to sell at the Hydro. Like, why? For money? Like, everybody says the Hydro's a shit gig for comedy as a comedian.
I mean, it's a massive, just such a massive, big space. That
I mean, if you sell at the Hydro, you've made a fucking, you know, you've made several £100,000 after cost. But apparently it's horrible to do comedy because the laughter takes an extra second to get to you. And as a comedian, you need that reaction.
You need to slow it down a lot. Yeah.
So
that actually, there's something else that I kind of want to mention. But do you reckon Kevin Bridges has officially dethroned Billy Connolly now? For a very simple reason. Let me say, because I know, right, I'm not from Scotland,
right,
and I know right now half the Scottish public just went, what the fuck did you just say? However, Kevin Bridges is the first comedian whose special is getting aired in cinemas. He's getting people to spend money to go out with other people and watch him on the screen. Not even live, not at home on Netflix, in a fucking cinema.
Right.
So, I'm not saying he's beating Connolly, but like if you're looking strictly at numbers, that is a massive achievement.
So I'm going to fucking name drop a wee bit here, right?
Right.
Because I can, right?
Obviously Daniel Sloss is still out there fucking killing it.
I'll come to that. One of my best friends from school, his dad was best friends with Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
Big shout out if you're watching this. So I think, like certainly in terms of numbers, Bridges is probably doing better than Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
But if Billy Connolly had released one of his specials in the cinemas, 70s, 80s, 90s, I think he would have had the same number as Bridges, if not more. Because there was no streaming. I think.
Well, again, sometimes the technology catches up with the talent, and sometimes the other way around.
You know, you've and I don't know Bridges.
I know he had the BBC stuff. He was on the telly.
Oh yeah. But you know, like Taylor Swift does fucking gigs that are in cinemas. Metallica do that as well. You know, a lot of rock bands do that. So maybe Bridges' thinking is, well, I'm going to fucking do a stand. It's a great idea, and I can't believe nobody's done it before.
Because you have a live laugh track. And also you have the laugh track from the audience that was laughing at the recording.
But I would say certainly Connolly would do it as well as Bridges has done, and you know, back then there was no streaming in the 90s and stuff, so I would think a Billy Connolly thing, people would went to cinema to see that as much as they went to see Bridges.
Okay.
But like,
this is like getting like, you know, classic NBA players.
Oh yeah, it's like it's fucking Pele or Messi.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
LeBron and Jordan and things like that.
Comparing the two, but I know you brought him there. I would have brought him up anyway, because I think Sloss has to be mentioned in the same bracket as Billy Connolly and Kevin Bridges, because like Sloss is brilliant, but he's bigger, he's more successful abroad than he is here. Like he's fucking massive in Australia. And
I know he did India of all places.
He's massive in Asia. Like
he's been to Romania. Yes, go on, Daniel.
But you know, I think his ticket sales are the highest ticket sales of any Scottish comedian per year, every year. And that's eclipsing what Bridges did at the Hydro. and everything else, because Sloss is touring India for months at a time.
Yeah.
And but I think just I know he's addressed this himself on his podcast, but he maybe just doesn't have the same success in Britain as he does elsewhere. For I don't know what reason, because he's fucking brilliant.
It's interesting, like the different styles of humor that can be of, like, like, I do believe comedy is universal, but sometimes some countries might, like, as a general, they might prefer in the culture a certain style more than another.
Yeah. I mean, I think Sloss's humour's quite dark compared to certainly Billy Connolly's and probably Kevin Bridges as well.
Yeah.
But he's fucking sharp, by the way. And he's a really nice guy as well. I've only met him like a couple of times, but he's fucking dynamite. His podcast's good as well. Maybe that's why he's successful abroad, because his podcast's accessible. Like Billy Connolly doesn't do a podcast.
Well, understandably,
it wasn't a thing. To my knowledge, Bridges doesn't either. But no, there's
like. Again, these are all the greats. We're not like being like,
no, of course,
we're not shitting on anyone here.
No. I would quite fucking happily trade places with any one of them. I would love Kevin Bridges' new bank account.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've got his old fucking belly, I think. But it's comparing Pelé and fucking Messi. It's two totally different.
Different industry, different.
Aye, but again, like, but I'm saying Billy Connolly would have sold out cinemas. Fucking, like Kevin Bridges would have sold out cinemas in the 90s as well. Had he been, in the same position he is now back in the 90s, he would have sold out cinemas as well. And then you've also got Frankie Boyle as well. He's constantly touring. He's selling big theatres. And didn't even mention Frankie. Yeah,
it's fascinating how many comedians come out of Scotland, isn't it?
Do you know what? It's and particularly Glasgow. I think it's the Glasgow sense of humour. Every comedian across Britain says Glasgow sense of humour's fucking.
Yeah, everybody gets it. They're not afraid to laugh at themselves. They will laugh at you.
Oh yeah. Aye,
and it's just a very equal opportunity.
Yes, but it's also like going back to the music hall days. In the 50s and 60s, like Glasgow was somewhere you wanted to do well, but it was very easy to like die on your arse as well, because it was a tough audience.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah, but
I've done my fair share of that. I will continue.
Aye, but I mean, maybe that's why Glaswegian comedians in particular are so successful, is because we do have tough audiences.
Yeah.
And it's for you and I that predominantly fucking gig in Glasgow, we're just used to it, and we just deal with it. And it's like, well, if we can make a Glasgow audience laugh, you can go to fucking Edinburgh or Dundee or Perth or Stockton or Liverpool, and you'll do well.
And you might not kill it, but you beat the gong.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. But there's probably something that the Glasgow comedians are, fucking like we're trained a wee bit harder, like we'll go back to fighting again, like the gyms we train in are fucking harder gyms to train in.
Yeah, like they'll punch us in the face, no questions asked.
Yeah, aye. I am so prepared for it.
I just realised I said 2 questions and then something occurred to me that I haven't even asked you about, which is a massive topic, my old school. Obviously, that's out there. Yeah. People can watch it, but if there's anything you want to say about it that you couldn't say.
No, not really. I mean, so if people don't know, my old school is a documentary. It's a Scottish Bafta winning documentary now.
He has a photo with a Bafta.
Yeah. So it's made by a guy I went to secondary school with, John McLeod, who is a director of documentaries. And it's about another guy we went to school with. I'll not say too much because it's still available on the iPlayer.
Yes, you don't want to no spoilers. But I think it was part of the news, so maybe just.
Yeah, so the summary is, in my second last year of high school, we had a new guy start called Brandon Lee.
In
1993.
Yeah, did he hang on? Because The Crow was in 94.
No.
Was it?
Oh, no.
Was this after
the Crow? So Brandon Lee, the actor, Bruce Lee's son, he died in the summer of 1993.
And he started
This would be in the August of 1993.
Whoever this person was, they had a very interesting sense of humour.
Yeah. So,
I don't think they were Asian.
I know that this guy started Brandon, who was he looked substantially older than we did, but the story came out quite quickly that he'd been living in Canada with his mum, who was an opera singer.
Yeah.
And they'd been in a car crash and she died, and he'd had some facial scarring, which is why he looked older. He'd moved back to Scotland to live with his gran. So this guy was in our school for 1 year. He did 6 hires and get straight into medical school. So 2 years after he started, there was a big revelation in the news about him. People fucking probably know what it is, but I'll not spoil the surprise. But, But you know, all wasn't as it appeared to be.
Because I watched the trailer for it, and that was the one thing that stuck out to me. Like, Brandon fucking Lee in 1993.
Yeah.
Why would you pick that name?
Yep. And you know, the good thing about the documentary, because it was independently made, see if Netflix had made it, it would have been a hack job, and they would have made the guy out to be a fucking paedophile, and he was doing this because, you know, Netflix documentaries have an agenda, and they want to...
You reckon?
Yeah, of course they do. You watch any documentary on Netflix, the majority of Netflix made documentaries, they're pushing you towards a conclusion. Like I'm not saying there's an agenda as such, but they're trying to steer you in a direction so that you draw a particular conclusion. Whereas the amazing thing that Jono's done with my old school is he drip feeds you information, and as the story comes along and it unravels, and you think, oh, wait a minute, actually I thought, but now I've changed my mind. And a lot of people have said to me they've watched the documentary and their opinions have changed 2 or 3 times watching it, because it's not, it would have been easy to do the Netflix thing and lead you in a direction.
But that's not the truth.
It's not the truth. And documentaries nowadays, there's not enough of them that give the viewer the information and go, make up your own mind. Like,
yeah, this comes back to, I think, the whole give the people what they want, not what they need. Sometimes I know that you can make quite often plenty of money by giving the people a very easy story, a very easy angle, salacious, you set it up the right way,
because
you know.
It sells.
Yeah, great, but sometimes you should give the people what they need, and that is the truth, not some... Because you are potentially, you know, painting someone's life with a very specific, you know, brush.
Yeah, aye. And it's even the people that were the centre of this story, you know, the Jono and myself and the other classmates that were interviewed. Like, sometimes we still don't know, you know, 30 years after the fact. Like, we're still like, actually, maybe this wasn't the case. And but it's everybody's seen this film. Like when it came out, like Jamie Oliver, Nigella Lawson, Tina Fey from Saturday Night Live contacted Jono, and like fucking like comedy legend, and said, please tell everybody involved in this that I thought they were fantastic. I loved it. So now
Tina Fey loves your work.
So that's on my one of my posters, one of my promo posters for Tattoo Dave. It's like, I loved it, Tina Fey. that's a quote, because she said it.
So for everybody,
which is very loose. It's a schneid thing to do, isn't it?
But listen, we all knew that.
It was great, and actually, there was a couple of people working in my old school, producers that I'd worked with on another TV programme in 2005. So it was 2007. So it was kind of cool to meet up with them as well.
Doing the Mass Effect. He's not about to say 2025, is he?
No. It was 2007. So I'll go over this just dead quickly, because it's talking about myself, and I fucking love that. So 2007, I wrote into the Daily Record letters page. There was a story. Have we got time for this?
We do. I think we do.
There's an article, and it said scientists have proven that women are worse for ogling men than men are for ogling women. Right? And I wrote into the Daily Record Letters page going, this is true, I wish women would stop looking at me. You know, I'm a person as well. Tattoo Dave Glasgow. So this caused a big stir on the Daily Record Letters page. So much so that they ended up doing a feature on me, Tattoo Dave, the man behind the mystery. And I was on a reality TV show because they were casting for the TV show. Read this exclusive with me in it and put me on their show. So it was all very cool.
What's it called?
It was called Conquer the Castle.
Okay.
And the pitch was it's 6 city slickers go and work in a countryside estate for a fortnight.
Did you conquer the castle?
It certainly did. It was up in Blair Athol. So I got to march and present arms with the Royal the Athol Highlanders, which is Europe's only private army.
Right, okay.
It's not as impressive as it sounds. It's all fucking farmers and police and stuff. I got to go on a deer hunt. I got to go canyoning, fucking bungee jumping.
See, that's what I'm talking about, man. Your life is just a series
that was just luck.
Wild stories.
Yeah,
well, it was also you fishing for it a little bit.
Oh yeah, aye. But it was cool. So yeah, it's like the universe is trying to get me on telly, I think.
Well, don't fight it. What can I say?
I know exactly.
Well, the curious and wonderful life of Tattoo Dave. I'm trying to look because I think my camera's giving me signs, but I'll sneak in one very last question. I know you read a lot of cool books. Is there a book you recommend that you're reading right now?
No. Like Stephen King books are brilliant.
Cool.
Stephen King, his book is 11/22/63. It's about the 68, 69. It's the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, the JFK one.
But it's a time travelling thing. One of the best books I've ever read. Absolutely phenomenal. There will be other books come back into my head later on, but I should have said that instead. But that's fucking dynamite.
Thank you so much,
Silas,
man.
thanks for having me, mate. Absolute pleasure.